All right, so let's talk about the product. So we feature Certainteed Landmark Pro. This is going to be our top rated shingle. It comes with a 50-year limited lifetime warranty for manufacturer defects. It's a 15-year, 160 mile an hour wind warranty. So, I mean, just shy of a tornado coming down and touching down on your home, you're protected against the wind.
Okay.
It's a 30-year algae warranty, and then it's a lifetime manufacturer backed workmanship warranty. So the shingle itself, and one of the things we really like about Certainteed is just overall, it is a much thicker shingle when you compare it.
Before you keep going, I have a question real fast. You said limited lifetime warranty. What is that limitation? What's the limit?
So it's a lifetime warranty. It's transferable one time. So you're going to have some small limitations there, and it's based off of manufacturer defects, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you ever have an issue with the roof or something like that, we'll send somebody out to take a look at it. But I'll tell you, Sam, if you had a roofer go up there and they're trying to hit it with golf balls or a crowbar or something like that to try and create those defects, we're going to notice that. Not that you would do that, but you'd be surprised.
Okay, that makes
So,
sense.
yeah, there's always limitations to whatever it is, but if you ever have an issue, just give us a call. We'll get somebody up there to take a look at it because you're covered on the workmanship. You're covered on everything else. So if something's not working right, we're going to take a look at it.
Okay.
But like I said, so Certainteed is a much thicker shingle when you compare it to like a GAF and Atlas. In our warehouse, we literally have Certainteed stacked up next to GAF. It takes 5 bundles of GAF to match the height of 4 bundles of Certainteed. So it's thicker, it lasts longer. One of the things I like to point out to people though is you see these little lines right here.
Mm-hmm.
So when we install the roof, this is what they call the strike zone, okay? And this is where the vast majority of roofing companies are going to put their nails at. But you see the 2 small lines underneath it? So this is what we call the common bond. In fact, if I turn this sideways, you can see where this shingle slides up underneath it right there. You have those 2 lines right there that overlap both shingles. So the manufacturers say that when you have a roof that's really steep, or flat, straight up and down, this is where you want to put your nails in order for it to be protected against the wind. Okay. Well, we figure if that's how it should be to make sure it doesn't blow off if the roof's straight up and down, it probably works just as well on a lower slope roof as well. So all of our guys install in the common bond just to make sure that we're going above and beyond to make sure the last thing we want to do is have to come back to your roof. When we install it, we use a 6-nail snake bite pattern. And what that looks like is it's going to go pop, 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 pop. So you have 1 nail there, 2 here, 2 here, 1 there. And one of the great things is you literally, when the install is taking place, if you take a minute and you listen to the nail gun, you literally should hear pop, 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 pop. Pop, 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 pop. and when you hear that pattern, you can just, you literally can be sitting in your kitchen, pop, 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 pop. Yep, they're doing it right.
Okay.
So I like pointing that out to people just because it's a great way of knowing that, everything that we're doing is going to be exactly the way I told you. Because at any point in time, if you don't hear that pattern, let me know. And there will be a project manager on site as well. We're not just going to send the guys out and let them have free reign of your house. We'll actually have somebody here with them, making sure everything's being done the way that it's supposed to be done.
Good.
So next thing I want to talk about, Sam, is the pipe boots. So on top of your house, you have plumbing. And what that is it's basically the exhaust for your plumbing. Have you ever shotgunned a Coke or shotgunned a beer before?
No, back in my day in college, sure.
Right. And that's the thing, because you take a can, right, crack it open and go pour it out, and it pours at a drip.
Uh-huh.
But if you pop another hole in the back of it, it just gushes right out. Well, the same thing works with your plumbing when you're running your sink or you're flushing your toilet or something like that. They have exhaust vents that run up to the roof to allow that airflow to come down so that your water goes down, and they have to be flashed out. Unfortunately, Sam, it's also the number one place to develop leaks in a roof. We tell people all the time when they call us out for roof leaks, the first place we're going to look at your pipe boots. After we look at your pipe boots, we're going to look at your chimney flashing. After we look at your chimney flashing, we're going to look at your gutters. These are the three most common areas to develop leaks in a home, because most people, most companies, they just put what's called a 4-in-1 pipe boot up there. And over time, they wear out. They use sealants that typically they really need to be resealed every 5 to 7 years. When's the last time you had your roof serviced?
When it was put on.
Right. And that's probably, some of the stuff I showed you in the attic related to it. And that's why we do the attic inspection again. But this is the number one cause for leaks. So what a normal pipe boot looks like is it is literally just a plastic flashing. You can see these little holes right here. You can cut this out for size. So if it's a 2-inch pipe boot, they can cut it out right here. If it's a 3-inch pipe boot, they can cut it out right here. And if it's a 4-inch pipe boot, they can cut it out right here. Now, think about this, Sam. You have a round piece of PVC, factory made, it's perfectly round. What do you think the chances are that an installer up on your roof with the sun beating down on them can take a razor knife and cut a perfect circle for that pipe to go through?
Pretty slim if I was a betting man.
But yeah, right? So what they're going to do is they're going to cut this out, and then whatever gaps they have, they're just going to fill that up with silicone. And again, typically 5-6 years, this is where you start developing leaks. Not to mention that when they install this, one, it's very flimsy. They put the nails straight down. Your nails are exposed on the end, so your shingles overlap right here, and you have a nail going into the roof right there. And again, they try and silicone that up. Well, I don't know if you've ever seen how plastic reacts in the sun, but
not great.
Yeah, so a lot of times what's going to happen is you're going to have a nail here, but this is going to curl there, or it's going to curl there. So now you have water that can get underneath this. It's going to find that nail. Well, now that it's found that nail, it's found a penetration to go inside. And again, wood rots from the inside out. So if you have any penetration into the direct center of wood, it starts to rot that area.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's why, again, one of the reasons we go up there and we look at the deck boards and things like that so that we can try and anticipate what we may run into so that we try and avoid further costs with you. So we don't use these. We use a lifetime boot. So this is a Viclar base. So this is a 2-inch boot. That's one of the things. These are not a one-size-fits-all. Okay. We actually have to order these specific to the piping that you have. So we actually get a count of how many pipes so that we know how many of these to order, because when this goes in, it makes a solid base. It will never leak. The word lifetime literally does apply. So even when it goes up at an angle, this will adjust to whatever that pipe size is. So if it's a steep roof, it'll actually sit like that. If it's a low slope roof, it'll sit like that. It's going to be perfectly aligned to the way it needs to be. You'll notice that our nails stop right here because this is going to be covered with shingle. And because this is metal, it's going to lay flat. It's not going to have any penetrations for water to get underneath it. So again, most companies don't even offer this at all. The ones that do, it's an upsell. They will try and add $500, $1,000 to upsell you each one of these boots. We decided a long time ago, this is just standard for us. It literally should be standard for everyone, because when you think about it, you're trying to put something up there that's got to withstand the worst forces of weather that are out there, and water's the number one killer of homes, right? It causes the most destruction. So we do these standard. because we want to make sure that your home is protected. And that's the thing. Given the choice between the two, which would you pick?
I think it's a no-brainer.
You do want this one, right?
Absolutely not.
So, next thing I want to go over with you is gutters. And I refer to these as the home's silent killer. I tell people all the time, gutters play a very vital role on a home. Unfortunately, they are one of the most overlooked items on a home, and it's not until people have $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 worth of damage and they realize, wow, all of that came from the gutter. So earlier, I was telling you, this is a 5-inch gutter. This is what you have on your home currently. This is a 6-inch gutter. This is what you should have on your home. People often wonder what the difference is between a 5-inch gutter and a 6-inch gutter, and, well, it's a lot. Especially when you're trying to manage water. And that's the thing. Your 5-inch gutter sits flat, just like this. So if it's overflowing in the front, well, it's also overflowing in the back. It sits on your fascia board, just like that. Up above your fascia board, you have your roof decking. In between the two, there's a gap. And that's what they call a builder's gap. It's on every home in Georgia. It's part of how the attic breathes. But it's when that water starts pouring back inside of that gap, well, now you have water pouring into a dark, damp place. Over time, that's what leads to mold growth, wood rot, things like that. With the 6-inch gutter, we actually build the backside of the gutter up to where even if this does fill up to capacity to overflow, it's going to go over the front. We're still protecting everything in the back. But this can handle 50% more volume of water than a 5-inch gutter. Kept clean, this will hardly ever overflow. Now, the exceptions to that, sometimes we get hit with these torrential downpours that show up and flood the streets within 15 minutes. Yeah, I don't care if you had bathtubs on your house at that point. They're going to overflow. But again, it's going to go over the front, still protecting everything in the back. Now, but that is the biggest thing, Sam, is they still have to be kept clean. Let me ask you, how often are you cleaning your gutters?
I'm not cleaning my gutters. I pay someone twice a year to clean
Twice
my gutters.
a year? And let me ask you, because, we live in Georgia, and I tell people all the time, when you live up north, you can get away with twice a year because luckily for them, the leaves kind of start falling in fall. They change colors and they fall to the ground. In Georgia, the leaves start changing in September and don't completely fall until February. And sometimes not even then.
Right.
You literally should be cleaning your gutters 4 to 5 times a year. You almost have to do it every other month. And then you think about the seasons where we get a lot of rain, and how wet the springtime is. Well, if your gutters are full and you're waiting till later on to clean them, well, now you have gutters that aren't draining properly and they're starting to cause damage to your home. So our solution to that is we partnered with a company called Master Shield. Master Shield is a micro mesh gutter protection system. So most people, when it comes to micro mesh today, they're familiar with a product called Leaf Filter. So Alex Higginbotham is the inventor of micro mesh. He invented Leaf Filter. And the Leaf Filter company, Matt Collig, just kind of took off with it. And after seeing how it performed long-term on homes, he wasn't thrilled with it because, one, it has a plastic base. So after it sits in the sun for a while, it starts to warp, it starts to bend, it starts to bow. It becomes very ineffective. The screen is 3/16 surgical stainless steel. We also use a 3/16 surgical stainless steel. The reason they use 3/16 surgical stainless steel is because it's the same material that they used to use in heart stents. And the reason they used it in heart stents is organic material cannot stick to it and it will never rust. Well, everything outside is organic material, so nothing can stick to the screen. But one of the problems they ran into, and they continue to run into, is algae. Algae can form on the roof, and it can get on the screen, and it will clog that screen up. So what Alex decided to do to combat that, that one ain't coming off, yeah, is he copper infused the screen. We use the same technology in our roofing system. That 30-year algae warranty, it's because those shingles are copper infused. So 3/16 surgical stainless steel, no organic material can stick to it. Copper infusion, make sure that algae can't stick to it either. But he also wanted to be able to combat having that plastic base that can bend and bow. So this is aluminum. You can feel that. That's a very sturdy product. And one of the other issues that he ran into with leaf filter is the fact that leaf filter sits like this. So stuff can sit up on top of it, but more importantly, things would build up against the fascia board. So now you have wet material that gets up there. Believe it or not, their product's still working, but it's now creating damage. So this is actually going to go up under the shingle. It's going to match the pitch of the roof. Now, this is one of the places I won't lie to people, Sam. I don't try and make something to be something it's not, right? So
I appreciate that.
Well, and that's the problem, because a lot of people, they want to tell you, hey man, you never have to deal with it again. I will tell you, most of the time you're not going to have to, but if you have a low sloped home and debris can sit up on top of your roof, debris can absolutely sit up on top of this. It's not going to get inside of the gutter. You're never going to have to actually clean the gutter again, but you might have to have this blown off. Now, on the areas of your house where you have that steep pitch, this, yeah, it's just going to shed right off. You never, ever, ever see debris sitting up on your roof where it's steep, but on that lower slope, yeah, stuff can absolutely sit up there. So you might still maybe have your guys come by once a year and just blow it off. The great thing about this is when water makes contact with the screen, it's going to suck it in, whether it has stuff on here or not. Because the way this works is they're using hydroflow technology. When water makes contact with this screen, it does not matter what level it's at, it's going to suck that water in. It's very, have you ever been camping in a tent in the rain?
Yeah, I camp a lot.
Do you know the rule of camping in a tent in the rain?
What's that?
Don't touch the tent.
Okay.
And it's because water has a surface tension. It'll sit up on top. But if you touch it from the inside, it breaks the surface tension of the water and it actually sucks it through where you touched it at. So if you're ever camping in the rain, you're getting wet, yeah, quit touching the wall. So the way this is designed, the base underneath makes contact with the screen. So those are the fingers. The screen itself is the tent. So as water falls down on top of this, it breaks the surface tension of the water, sucks the water in, drains the water down. Let's go to your sink real quick and I'll show you how it works.
Okay.
Pause. All right, so Sam, even starting out with like a heavy rain, water is just gonna blast right through the screen. But even when we get into that heavy downpour, now can we agree that's a lot of water I've got on there? I'm not doing just a little trickle to show you that it works, right? We're opening that up. We're not cheating. So one of the questions we always get is, will it actually take the water? And it absolutely will. You can see that it is literally sucking that water in as it's running down. So even in a heavy downpour, even at a high slope, it will absolutely take the water. Pretty cool, huh?
That's great.
Is it okay if I borrow a paper towel?
Sure. Let's
So-
see if
Let me ask you, being that this is something you're going to do, it's not a matter of if but when. If I can show you a way to save a lot of money, possibly work out a price or payment that fits into your budget, is there any reason other than the price or payment you wouldn't consider it while I'm here?
not that I can think of. No.
Great. Stop.